Welcome to another episode of Menopause Matter, where we care about women who are experiencing menopause symptoms and don't know how to manage it better. I have invited so many different experts here to share with us their expertise to help you on combating these menopause issues. Today, I have Anja here to share with us something that is not talked about a lot. All the other symptoms that we may see during menopause, such as itchy skin, sore joint, and all the other unknown thing. So, Anja, thank you so much for joining us today. Please tell people about who you are.
Hi, Martha. Thank you so much for having me today. I love any opportunity to talk about menopause. I love the fact that we're talking more about it these days, which is fabulous. But yeah, as you say, some of those symptoms, people just don't realize that they're often associated with menopause. Anyway, a bit about me. I've been a personal trainer for about 18 years, and probably about 4 years ago, I realized that the intense heat I was feeling in my back was not coming from exercise, but was actually a hot flush. So that took me a little bit by surprise. I was still in my late 40s, so really hadn't expected menopause at all. But that led me on a path of working out what I could do, and I went down a whole path of study. And since then, I've trained as a menopause coach, as a health coach, and I'm working with a company called Menopause Friendly Australia. We educate workplaces on how to be menopause friendly. And I also work with Dr. Kelly Teagle in Canberra on her program, which is more for women one-on-one, working through what we can do in terms of lifestyle, and educating women on HRT and all those things on how we can manage our menopause. So that's what's brought me to where I am today.
That
So
is amazing because this is actually the first time that I heard that there is company that who look after women in menopause in the workplace, because that is actually something that we all quite scared about, and then thinking that we're all going cycle, but it is actually just the effect of the menopause.
yeah.
Because what are like I hear a lot of the like hormonal changes and like hot flushes and like foggy brains, but like how about itchy skin and sore joint and things like that? Because I did see someone posting about that, and I'm like, oh wow, that is a menopause symptoms as well.
Yeah, there are, I think, over 30 symptoms now that they talk about. And the thing is, as our estrogen, well, it goes up and down in a roller coaster in that perimenopause stage, and then it drops right off after menopause as well. And our progesterone does as well. But they're responsible for our hydration in our body. So our mucus and just keeping everything nice and fresh and plump. And that's probably why we go a bit wrinkly. Um, but that's where the itchy skin and the dry eyes and the vaginal dryness and all those things happen, because we're losing those hormones, which can result in that. And the same with the aching joints. Our joints, we've got the bones and then the capsules on the end of the bones and the fluid that sits within our bones that helps that movement. And as that dries out as well, that's where we can often get the joint pain, which we wouldn't traditionally assume was menopause. We all talk about, as you say, the hot flushes, anxiety levels.
Mm-mm.
Anxiety is a huge one, particularly for women, well, for anyone really, but women in the workplace. They start to feel anxious where they haven't before. They lose their confidence. We're sort of told that we're old and over it, whereas we actually have so much knowledge to share, not only at work but within our culture and our community. So I think we need to shift that a little bit, and that might help a little bit as well.
Mm.
But yeah, those unusual ones. I had someone told me once she got sore backs of the knees or something, or ankles, or something like really quite unusual. We all, there are all sorts of ones.
So would you say that hydration it is quite important for women going through menopause?
Hydration is always important, but yes, but again, I don't know that it's enough if we're really lacking those hormones that we need. So if somebody can tolerate HRT or MHT, so menopause hormone treatment, as it's often called these days. If you can tolerate that, and if you can take your estrogen that way, that can really help with the dryness. But if you're suffering from dry eyes, you can go to your optometrist and they can advise you on eye drops to use if that's your preferred method of treatment. But yeah, extra water is always a good thing.
Okay. So what are the other more common treatment available for menopause women?
So there are a number of treatments available, and it depends very much on the individual. And this is where I love the fact that we're talking about menopause, because the more the individual woman knows, the more she can actually go and find out what she wants to do. It's her body. I always say, you're the expert in you, I'm the expert in me. And yes, doctors can give us advice, but ultimately only you know how you're feeling and what you want to do and how you want to treat it. So there's the tradition, well, there's, I shouldn't say traditional, there's the MHT or HRT, so the taking of estrogen and progesterone are typically the two hormones, sometimes testosterone. So that's that hormone replacement therapy. Then we can also look at lifestyle measures, managing stress, exercise, diet, sleep. Those are sort of the ones we can try and address there. They can have some impact. Then there are things like cognitive behavior therapy, sort of lifestyle mindset type treatments, and then some alternative therapies can help as well. I would say, firstly, I'm not a doctor, so this is not medical advice. Secondly, if you do want to go and try alternative therapies, just be aware that these can sometimes interact with other medications that you might be taking. So before you take anything at all, I would say have a chat with your healthcare professional, talk to them about what you're experiencing, what your preferred treatment is. And again, remembering that you might try something and go, okay, that doesn't actually work for me, and then try something else. Nothing's set in stone.
That is so good to know. That's actually really good to know. So, what are the best way for someone to get help from their healthcare professional? Because I find that I heard a lot of women said that, oh, my doctor just told me A, B, C, D, E, but it's not helping. And they find that it's so hard to communicating with the healthcare practitioners of what they need and what they want.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and we can often feel really dismissed and not heard by the healthcare profession. So first of all, it's about finding a healthcare professional who is educated in menopause. So unfortunately, our doctors are not taught about menopause when they study to become doctors. Only affects half the population, but So finding a doctor who actually knows about menopause, and then secondly, preparing before you go for that consult. So having a think about maybe using a symptom tracker and noticing what's going on for you. So maybe taking a little bit of time and sort of reflecting on, yeah, it might be hot flushes, but some women don't get hot flushes. Is your sleep disrupted? Are you feeling more anxious than you used to? You used to be this, confident, get up and go person, and suddenly you're anxious about stuff that never used to bother you. Have a think about what those symptoms are. Um, think about how often they're happening, maybe what's triggering them, when they happen, and then think about which ones are the main ones that you really like to address, so that when you go into your appointment, because often if you're seeing a GP, those appointments can be really short. So that's one thing as well, is maybe asking for a longer appointment. But then if you can go in prepared, so you've got your list of questions, because I know the number of times I've walked out and gone, oh, I meant to ask about. So if you've got that all prepared with you, and you can go in and you go, right, I want to talk about menopause. These are the symptoms I'm experiencing. These are the main ones that are really bothering me right now that I want to address first. And then these are the questions or concerns that I have, so that you can make the most of that time that you have with that healthcare professional. So whether that's a GP, sort of the more traditional Western style, or if you're choosing to go alternative therapies, going in and having as much information and preparation beforehand is what I generally recommend.
That's good. That's good. So, like, I hear that there's a lot of different method to combat this menopause thing that we're all dealing with. So how can a health coach help women in managing the menopause? Because I hear like there's so many different methods. Some sound similar, some sounds a bit different. But how does health coaching help with the whole management?
The one thing that I really love about health coaching is that it's very much led by the client. So, I've got a background in personal training, as I said, and that's very much about telling people what to do. You come to an exercise session and you're told what to do, based on what your goals are. With a health coach, it's very much turned the other way around. So you'd go to your health coach a little bit like you go to your doctor and go, this is what I'd like to achieve. So maybe your doctor has said to you, okay, you really need to cut back on the alcohol you're drinking, or you really need to manage your stress levels, but you have no idea where to start. Or your life is so crazy busy, because it is a busy time of life. We all know we're often juggling children, often they're going through puberty as we're going through menopause. It might be work, helping parents. There's a lot going on in our heads. So if you can come to a health coach and go, this is what I need to work on, and then it works like a partnership. So we would sit down together and go, okay, so why is that important to you? We can all say, oh, I need to exercise more, but if it's really not that important to you, you're unlikely to actually make those changes. So we work out what's really important to you. What does your future life look like? We look at that future vision that we want to work towards, and then we, based on that, kind of go, okay, so what can you do now? So it's very much led by the client going, okay, I'm really super busy. Okay, fine. So you want to, cut back on your alcohol. That's your way of winding down at the end of the night. Is there something else that we can maybe substitute? And the client can maybe go, oh, okay, do you know what? Well, I could maybe try an alcohol-free wine, or I could try this. So it's very much about what the client can implement, so that they have that confidence as well, that they can actually implement those changes and see the difference for themselves. Because
I
if we do
think that is true.
so I was just going to say, if you do a program, we go in, we're all motivated and excited, and we make some changes. But if they're too drastic and if they don't fit in with our lifestyle, we quickly drop off again. So we're far better off making small changes regularly, but over a long term, and that's when we see those changes.
That's excellent. So please tell us that how do we reach out to you?
So I have I'm on socials, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on my website, the Wellbeing Toolkit.com.au. I'm sure that'll be in the show notes. There's a whole lot of information on there about how we can work together. There's a free 15-minute phone call that you can book to have a chat, see how I can maybe help you, how we can work together. And then all my programs are on there. So yeah, and on LinkedIn, I'm just as Anja Lineen, so Anja, and my surname Lineen.
Perfect. It's wonderful. Thank you so much for your time today, for sharing with us, especially on those topics that we actually haven't really talked about menopause. So it really widened up my knowledge bank. So thank you again for coming with us today.
Thank you so much. And yeah, I think we just all need to keep talking and sharing, and that's how we find out more about how we can help each other. So I meant to say there's a 10% discount as well for your listeners with the code YTG40 plus.
Amazing. I love it when our speaker actually look after our group, because we need that help. We need that support. So for anyone who wants to reach out, feel free to reach out to Anja here. I will put her contact in our show notes so you can find her directly. And thank you once again for being on our show today. It has been such a pleasure talking to you.
It's been fabulous. Thank you so much, Martha.
Thank you. So thank you to our audience and our listener for joining us again on Menopause Matter, where we want to help you to go through this period with more joy, more fun, and a big smile. Thank you once again, and I'll see you again next week.